Hi, everyone, and welcome to the lineup. Today is November the 9th, 2023. I'm Barry Stagner, and I'm very excited about our program tonight. Really blessed and honored to have a dear friend and brother join us this evening. He's kind of out there in the midst of it all, and will give us a boots on the ground perspective of what's happening in Israel. So, bringing on my friend Amir Tsarfati. Amir, welcome.
Thank you, Barry. Thank you very much.
It's always great to talk with you, and just hearing everything, and with all the. I think we were in Philadelphia when this whole thing broke,
Wow.
and it's just unimaginable the things that have happened since then. As you know, the initial day was crazy enough and heinous enough, but just to watch what has happened to our world since then, it's just beyond belief, and it's amazing how quickly things are advancing, and so many things are happening as they relate to Bible prophecy. I know we have talked about this and want to be careful about kind of forcing something in to a prophetic scenario. And I think we both said publicly that the what Hamas did is not a fulfillment of prophecy, other than the hatred of Israel. But boy, things that have happened ever since then
Yeah.
have sure pushed forward some possibilities, including things like the destruction of Damascus and the Ezekiel war. Um, but I wanted to ask you one thing real quick before we begin, and I've heard you quote this so many times when we've been out traveling, and that is Hosea 5:15. And I watched a few videos actually have been popping up here in the States about different people who have said, I didn't see my Jewishness as anything more than an ethnicity or a heritage, and I never was really too concerned about it. But now that is all changing, and I thought about that last line in Hosea about the affliction causing people to seek Him with their whole hearts. And are you seeing any kind of development of that sort of thing in Israel now?
Absolutely. But I wish it was the direction of the Messiah, but it's not there yet. But I do see two things that are happening now to the Jewish people around the world and in Israel. Around the world, Jewish people wake up to the most anti-Semitic atmosphere since World War II. But in Israel, every person that ever tried to kind of deny his Jewish heritage and thought that I'm a citizen of the big world, and I'm not this Holocaust survivor boy. I'm actually a citizen of a strong country, and I don't have to flag with my Jewish root. Everybody realized on Saturday morning of October 7th that the only thing that they were looking for is killing Jews. It didn't matter to them what's your political agenda. It doesn't matter if you consider yourself, it doesn't matter if you consider yourself a Jew or not. It doesn't matter if you are proud of being a Jew or not. If you are a Jew, you ought to die. That was it. And people woke up to this reality that being a Jew is enough to be to be persecuted. And I mean, here we are 85 years after Kristallnacht, that night in Germany where they broke the glasses of the Jewish synagogues and shops and burned all the tonight. And here we are all over again. Jewish shops are being vandalized and marked with Stars of David, or places that are marked with swastikas all around. Jews are being marked everywhere they are being singled out. And it's interesting because, again, Jewish people understand probably if the only place I can feel home as a Jew is Israel, I probably need to leave. It's dangerous for Jews to live in London. It's dangerous for Jews to live in New York today. It's dangerous. So I see the world jury is moving to Israel, and the Israeli ones are moving towards Orthodox Judaism. Every soldier that goes into Gaza right now wants to have phylactery and the thistles, and they are praying every morning. I mean, these are secular people, and they understand that they wanted to kill us because we're Jews. So we need to be like Jews. And for them, being a Jew is Orthodox Judaism. And
Right.
so we are seeing as you said, an affliction that leads them towards some spirituality, but unfortunately, it's towards religion at this point, and not yet towards the Messiah.
We know that's coming, though. I think from
Absolutely.
the Zechariah 12:10, and that
Yes.
moment when they look upon the one whom they pierced, and I think it's interesting that this is becoming so widespread. Because we can't disconnect Christianity from Judaism. I mean, the Jews are the root of what it is that we believe. And I heard actually a rabbi the other day say, well, he calls himself a rabbi. He's actually a Christian, but anyway, he said, that Christianity is the completion of Judaism, and I think just recognizing that there's a beginning is a good thing. And I say this under the banner of moving forward prophetically, because I don't think the Jews are going to just start, what, we're under attack, let's read the New Testament.
Yeah, you're right. That's the point. And a lot of people, I don't know why they some evangelists come to Israel right now and they share in the streets, and they're not being welcomed. And so because they're not being welcomed, they're offended. And because they're offended, they upload videos of them being offended by the Jews, which feeds to the anti-Jewish narrative anyway around the world. So no, they're not going to run to the New Testament unless really there's a move of God, a miraculous one, individual one. We know that, as 2 Corinthians chapter 3 says, individuals will have that veil lifted only when they turn to Christ. But Israel as a nation, because blindness in part has happened to Israel. Israel as a nation will only come to faith when Christ will physically return to earth. So now our heart is to at least reach to those individuals that miraculously might be open to the Messiah. But I don't have any illusions. I know that as a nation, my nation is up for a roller coaster. I mean, we're right now moving towards religion. That religion will bring us to another crisis when the Ezekiel war will happen, and then we see God's victory. That will bring us again to religion, but this one is different religion. We're going to now have a false Messiah in a temple in Jerusalem, and that will crash 3.5 years later, and the most difficult persecution is going to happen. So we're in that roller coaster, and the end game will be only when Christ will return physically. That's as a nation. But individuals, just as myself and others, God is moving. We have to pray, we have to share, and God might draw unto himself people even today.
Yeah. In reading some of the stories of, the progress in Gaza, I recently taught through Zechariah chapter 12, and just thinking about what the Lord said was going to happen. And I think we're probably seeing the precursors, not the actual fulfillment of Zechariah, obviously. But, it said that the feeble shall be like David, and Jerusalem and the people of the city are going to be as if the angel of the Lord. In other words, walking in great power and success. And just watching the things that are developing right now, it's kind of interesting to see, this type of thing happening. I think with the Jewish News Syndicate talks about the Hamas stronghold captured. And forgive me if I pronounce this wrong, Jabalia.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yes. And Jabalia, you're talking about Jabalia, yes. Yeah, in fact, we just took over another one. We took over their headquarters of their security forces, not the underground, but the above the ground. We have unbelievable miracles happening in Gaza right now, and more soldiers come out and report that. In fact, I put on Telegram a short video of a soldier in Hebrew asking the Israelis to keep praying because prayers help.
Right.
He says, we see miracles. Keep on praying.
Yeah.
This is the notion, that when they reached Gaza, one of the first things they did, they went to the old synagogue in Gaza to pray. Every soldier, we see them praying everywhere. With the forces before they moved into Gaza, all said prayers, all said the Aaronic blessing. I have never been exposed to that much Bible prayers and blessings on TV screen in Israel during news. It's phenomenal. But again, the thing that it's sad is they don't know the Messiah. They still believe that they can establish their own righteousness by doing this, and this. But at least I see people that finally understand there is a God. We are his people. And that's a big step forward. A lot of them were atheists, were secular. A lot of them didn't care much about that. And now we're Jews. We have a God. He gave us this country. So it starts there. It starts with the understanding and the acknowledgement of the existence of God and the acknowledgement that he's the one who brought us here. We're not here because of ourselves. And he's the one who is going to fight for us. So it starts with that. And I think that the more difficulties we're going to have in the future and the more God will show his outstretched hand, the more they will understand that it's not about religion. And again, once they see the Messiah upon his second coming, it will be already after they see that the rabbinical Judaism doesn't work, Orthodox Judaism is not the answer. They'll understand that, they're persecuted because they're Jews, whether they do this or not. And if they really, truly need a savior, it's not anything in the shape and form that they've seen or heard before. And when he comes back, remember, he's gathering them from Bosra, and they're in Jerusalem. It's the Feast of Trumpets. They're together. And as he said, you will not see me again until you say, Baruch haba b'shem Adonai. They will welcome him. They will say, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. And he will come and they will see him. I'm not sure Jesus is going to look like what the Catholic Church portrayed him or Orthodox Church portrayed. I think they will see the Jewish Messiah coming back. They will recognize him. It's going to be amazing. But again, we're here to tell them about the good news so they don't go through the tribulation. That's our burden, of course.
Yeah, we have both, I think, talked much about Ezekiel 37 through 39, the miraculous rebirth of the nation. And, I was really kind of reading through this again and doing a little more study about this. And I backed up into 36 and, and watching all of these protests around the world and this heinous mantra of from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free, which is basically a call for the annihilation of the Jews. In Ezekiel 36, I thought it was just incredible to see the Lord's dialogue with the nation where he said, basically, I scattered you and I'm going to gather you because every day that you were outside of the boundaries of the land I gave you, my name was profaned. Yep. He said, so I'm bringing you back, not for your sake, but for my holy name's sake into my land. And, Amir, I think, looking at what Zechariah talks about those who would heave it away will be cut into pieces. I think it's a pretty foolish thing to be standing on a curb shouting for the annihilation of the Jews through this mantra, because God brought the nation back for his holy name's sake.
Exactly. And that's what the Jews themselves understand now. I mean, let alone our enemies. We had enough Jews that are progressive liberals that apologize for their being here, that try to appease their enemy as if we're sorry, it's our fault. Yes, no, we don't have to be sorry because it wasn't our idea to begin with. we never told God to choose us. He chose Abraham without asking. And we never told God to bring us back. He's the one who decided that it's time to bring us back. And by the way, he said at the end of chapter 37, he said, I am God, I'm the Lord, I spoke it and I performed it also.
Right. Yeah.
It's my word and it's my execution of I'm sorry. It's my word and I do it. It's the way I do things. You have nothing to do with it. And if anything, when Ezekiel describes Israel is saying our hope is lost, our bones are dry, we've been cut off. We already lost hope. And it's God who says, well, hey, tell them, my people, you're still my people. I'm going to take you out of your graves. I will bring you back. I will put you on your land, in the land of Israel. And I'm the Lord. I spoke it and I performed it. So this is the work of God to the people of God, for the name of God to be praised and glorified. And every enemy of Israel, remember, when we read in Psalm 83, which, when I analyze who was part of those countries, I see it already fulfilled in 1948 when all of them wanted to destroy us.
Right.
It says, those who, your enemies, Lord, and those who hate you lifted up their heads and they said, let's come and cut them off from being a nation. So they come against God's people because they hate God. They come against God's people because they are his enemies. And in Proverbs 8:26, I think it says that because they hate me, they love death. I mean, you see the terrorists, that's what the terrorists are chanting all the time. You love life, we love death. This is it. So, look, we are rising from the ashes right now. It was a horrific Saturday with the most barbaric actions mankind has ever seen. I have a hard time even mentioning those things because every day I'm exposed to a new level of heinous things that were, and yet at the same time we choose life, we rise up, we fight back. I don't think they expected this, by the way, and I think that every terrorist around the world is watching what we're doing right now. And this is why we don't have a big war with Lebanon right now or with the others, because they understand that we're not playing games anymore. But the division that we had amongst us, the way we pushed God out, the way we weakened our military, the way we hated each other as brothers, it definitely contributed to the feeling of the other side that it's time to strike. I mean, there's a lot that we have to take in consideration. And by the way, they said that. They said that they were very much encouraged by the protests, the legal or the judicial reform, the anti-reform protests in Tel Aviv. They were very much, they thought, and by the way, they really thought that we're weak enough not to be able to rise up and respond. They thought that they got us at the weakest point. Bear in mind, a few days before the attack, the Jewish people were fighting over prayer in Tel Aviv. Prayer.
That's right.
Yom Kippur. For the first time in 75 years, Jews are attacked by Jews for praying in Yom Kippur in Tel Aviv. This was the lowest of the lowest. And for the terrorists to see how low we are, they realize that's it. They're done. They're shocked to see how united we are right now. They're shocked to see how the resolve and the unity and the determination that we have. And if anything, the Israeli society is now moving more and more and more towards We are not going to tolerate the Palestinians at all. Gaza should not even exist at all. We're not going to work on two-state solution at all. And we are actually holding on to our God-given rights over the land. People that never believed in God are now citing verses that are giving us the right over the land. It's unbelievable. So that which the enemy meant for evil, God is turning into something much, much, much more amazing.
Yeah. There's another country that is in that same position that it concerns me, what you just shared, the opportunistic attitude of our adversaries, well, they're a mess. They're all divided. They're fighting amongst themselves. And that seems to be a prime opportunity, for us to take advantage of this weakness, to say nothing of the fact that we've depleted much of our ammunition supplies here in the States and all that. It's a bit of a concern, I think, for any thinking person about
And
us as well.
biblically, you have to be concerned. Biblically,
Yeah.
that the next chapter in our history will not have America as a superpower
Right.
that will come and help you. You're now helping us. You're a superpower. You're here. You're probably deterring Hezbollah, maybe, or Iran. But that's not going to be the case in Ezekiel war. And you're not going to deter anyone because you're not going to be
Right.
here.
Yeah.
And therefore, Russia and Iran and Turkey and all of that, they're all going to come against us because they will smell that nobody's there to come and help us. And so, I know that America is up for a very, very rough future. I just pray that we'll be out of here before.
Post rapture, I hope. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. The interesting thing I was thinking as you shared, these nations that are going to invade from the north are going in unimpeded. I mean, they lie dead on the mountains of Israel. So
Yeah.
there's nobody opposing them. And, one other thing I wanted to mention about the Ezekiel thing, the whole scenario is the protesting nations. And I thought it, interesting that, the talks of normalizing relations, at least establishing some kind of diplomatic relation with Saudi Arabia, was put on hold. But I think it was 2 days ago, Mohammed bin Salman came out and said, hey, when the war is over, we're going to restart the talks.
Because he sees what we're doing. I mean, he's delighted with the way we are performing right now. If you ask him on October 7th, he would probably distance himself from us because, if they didn't even know about this one, and if they're that weak, and if few people with a tractor can just destroy a $2.5 billion fence and just walk in and do what they did, well, they're not as strong as we thought. But, a strength of a nation is not measured by whether we're attacked or not. It's measured by how fast do you recover,
right,
and fight back. And I think that, they did not expect this recovery, and they lost thousands of terrorists within Israeli territory, and many more thousands right now in the territory of Gaza, under the ground and above the ground. Most of them are under the ground. These are the things you don't hear in the news. We have face-to-face battles in Gaza above the ground, but we have uncovered so many tunnels, and we have developed new methods to deal with them. And so when this war is going to be over, the number of terrorists that is going to be recovered from those bodies that will be recovered from these tunnels will be by the thousands.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. If you would talk a little bit about the network and the complexity and the magnitude of these tunnels.
Yeah.
I mean, last I saw, I think on Telegram, you reported that there's been 130 tunnels destroyed so far, and that's an astronomical number by itself.
Well, it's less than 10% of what they have. But let me explain something. The Gaza Strip is the largest terrorist facility on planet Earth. There is nothing, no country, no territory on planet Earth that is that booby-trapped, filled with tunnels, filled with weapons, and filled with civilians population. I mean, there's no such thing. To fight in Gaza requires the most skillful army on planet Earth, because it's urban warfare with above and under the ground facilities, and the under the ground is beyond what any country can ever imagine. We thought they have a lot of tunnels. When we got inside, we found that they have more than we thought. That's how much they have. Look, we knew about the length of the tunnels. We just never knew that almost every other house has a shaft that is connected to the tunnel. So if the tunnel goes under the ground this way, we thought there is a shaft here and there's a shaft here. Well, they have 10 more along the way. So every other house is covering a shaft that is related to the same tunnel. So we knew about the tunnel, and we knew that we might expect the terrorists here, or here, but we had no clue that the terrorists we can find them in 10 more spots along the way. The number of shafts is staggering. So it's amazing. That's why we are advancing slowly, because whenever we get a territory, we stop, we purify it. It's one thing to take over physically. It's another thing to make sure it's clean. And that takes time. And we're closing in right now on their headquarters, which are, surprise, surprise, underneath hospitals. When we interrogated the terrorists that we found alive, that we captured alive, we asked them, so where is everybody hiding? They said, under the hospitals. And we asked them, why under the hospitals? They said, because we know you never bomb hospitals. They literally say, you never bomb hospitals, and that is exactly why we are there. And look at what the world is saying, that we bomb hospitals, that we attack civilian population. Has anyone said anything about the fact that our hospital in Ashkelon was attacked almost 8 times by rockets that were, without any warning or anything? Listen, today I was watching a video in London of pro-Palestinian protesters. And so they asked him, do you know anything about the Hamas invasion into Israel on October 7th? And she says, no, I don't think I know anything about that. She's there to protest, thinking that we just decided one day to go on a war with the Palestinians. She never heard of a massacre of 1,400 people, of beheading of children, beheading of soldiers, of burning alive a whole family. She never heard of that. The narrative is that we started a war. And it's amazing that they buy this narrative. They have no clue what happened. And that's why all those posters of the kidnapped children are being torn down, because they think it's a lie. They really think it never happened. And the interesting thing is, Hamas admitted that it happened. They're actually right now negotiating through the Qataris a deal for a ceasefire,
3-day ceasefire,
in order to, and then in return for release some hostages.
Yeah,
We admit that they do it. We know they did it, but the world doesn't know. The world thinks it's a lie. People tell me there is no proof that children were killed or women were raped, and I said, what is going to convince you? What? A detailed video of the action? Because we have it. We have it. And I said to the people, I said, by the way, not only that we have it, it was live broadcasted on Facebook, on WhatsApp, on Telegram, on Instagram by the perpetrators, because they were so happy about that. People, in some cases, the terrorists took the phone of the victim, clicked on the Facebook app, Facebook Live, and they did it using the Facebook account of the victim.
right.
It's still there. So, look,
It happened.
it not only that it happened, they are happy, they're proud of it, and they said in some interviews that they would have done it again.
Yeah.
I mean, if we have to do it again, we'll do it again. So what the world doesn't understand is, I don't know a single country on planet Earth that will not do what we are doing right now. And by the way, what we are doing right now is very biblical. I mean, Romans 13 says that governments bear the sword, right, and they have the duty to exercise judgment over the evildoers. So, I'm just saying it happened. This is the most justifiable war ever. Genocide, war, crimes against humanity were performed, and war crimes are being performed in Gaza when they're using schools and hospitals and ambulances and all of these things, in residential communities to hide their weapons and to hide their terrorists.
Yeah, and Amir, it's interesting that things like that, using an ambulance to transport personnel and all that. I mean, that violates the Geneva Convention, and yet nobody's talking about these kind of things. And one of the most bizarre things that has come out of this, I think, is this big pitch for proportionality, that Israel's response has to be equal to the attack of Hamas. The number of casualties on both sides has to be equal. And this, to me, it just feeds into this delusional thinking that is going to dominate the tribulation period, because, in the minds of so many people today, that everything has to be a tie. Everything has to be equal. Nobody can be more dominant. They can't respond in a way that is a decisive victory. And, these guys, some of these guys, I've watched some of the translated interviews of some of the Hamas guys. One guy calls his mom, celebrating that they had killed X number of people, or bragging about, what they had done. And the videos, I've seen videos that turn your stomach as well. And yet the world, that's not what they want to be true. So, they're creating their own reality. And, this is part and parcel of what makes the last days what they are. And that is a time of strong delusion. And it's just wild. And, I was very bothered. I think it was just this morning that an article came out of Israel that Blinken is saying that after the war is over, that the West Bank and Gaza need to be, self-governed.
I'm contemplating on traveling to D.C. I was invited by congressmen there. I want to sit with as many as I can to put pressure on the U.S. administration to abandon this stupidity, because the Palestinian Authority praised Hamas for what it did. The Palestinian Authority is paying killers of Jews, their families, literally get a reward for what they did. The Palestinian Authority is saying that Hamas is not a terrorist organization. It's actually another way to represent the Palestinian people. We have no business with them whatsoever. They are not partners. Mahmoud Abbas, his whole doctorate in university was about Holocaust denial. I mean, the guy literally is a Holocaust denier. I mean, he doesn't even say that we were killed because we were Jews. He said that we were killed because of financial issues, because of other things. He literally, up until today, he says that. We have no business with these people. They are as murderers. They just don't have the religious flag, but they have the national flag. But it's the same spirit. It's the same anti-Semitic spirit. It's the same hatred, the same willing to die and it's the same crooked leadership that worth billions, while their people cannot even have enough to survive. I mean, the Hamas leaders, each and every one of them that is obviously outside in Qatar or Turkey, others, they're worth not millions, they're worth billions of dollars. Right. These people never worked a day in their life to even worth $100,000, not to mention billions. Every aid, do you know that Gaza received more money poured into it than post-war Germany? And yet look what Germany turned into, and look what Gaza turned into. And
Yeah.
it's all because we always turn blind eye, and we always give them discounts, and we always say, well, it's okay. That's why their journalists can accompany the terrorists, because they know about it and they are journalists. They go and cover it. That's why they're doctors, they're ambulances, everybody is collaborating. Do you think anyone should believe the numbers? By the way, do you know that according to the Palestinian Ministry of Health, not a single terrorist died? It's all women and children. It's all civilians. It's unbelievable. It's like, so my point is,
and the press runs with it.
of course, the press, because those terrorists are hired by CNN and AP and Reuters and others. I mean, this story just came out today that I don't know if you got a chance to see it. Honest Reporting just had a scoop showing that all these photojournalists were actually with the perpetrators.
Right.
And they did everything. So, I mean, all of the UN workers, apart from few dozens that are from the outside, they're all Hamas people. All the UN people that are operating this place are Hamas people. So anything you give to the UN Relief and Work Association goes to Hamas. The fuel, the food, everything. People don't understand that. The longer Hamas exists, the harder it is for the Gazans. Literally. And the Gazans know that. They just, only now, when things go so bad to Hamas, they allow themselves to speak out. You see more and more people complaining and saying things that they wouldn't say a month ago because they would have been killed. But now they understand Hamas is on its way out. I can say now. And so we're doing not only ourselves a favor by eradicating Hamas, we're doing them a favor.
Right.
Because and the world must let us finish the job and not to place there something of the same. We have to come up with new ideas. We have to come up with new ideas. And God forbid, Israel is not going to have the ultimate security authority in that area.
Yeah, you don't need an old enemy with a new name. There's no question about that. No. And it's interesting, Amir. Some of the pictures floating around about fuel storage tanks, maybe even a dozen of them in one location, and yet all these complaints about the humanitarian issue with Israel going into Gaza, and yet here there's plenty of fuel to run the hospitals, but Hamas is holding it for their own purposes to fuel their weapons and all that. And, there's a procedure that I've seen a couple of videos about it, and I may not have the name right, but I think it's called knock knock, where there's a small device that explodes.
Knock on the roof.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And then you've got videos of tanks protecting Palestinians moving from the north to the south. And just these accusations just continue to flow about the Israel just killing whoever.
Our soldiers are risking their life to allow the Palestinian civilians not get killed by Hamas. I mean, think about that. Our tanks are there to allow the free and safe passage of civilians, because when we were not there and the civilians tried to run away, they were butchered by Hamas. I mean, I have videos of that. Now, another thing is this. Every day for the last 2 weeks, we hear that the hospitals ran out of fuel. That's it. We have no electricity. And every day, footage from those hospitals show that there is electricity. Why? Because as long as Hamas is under the hospital, there has to be electricity. Because the electricity and the fuel for the electricity of the hospital is the fuel for the electricity of those tunnels and all their communication systems and the ventilation systems that keeps them alive 200 feet under the ground. So unless we close in, storm into those hospitals and get them, it's never going to stop. And this is what we're doing. I believe that within the next 48 to 72 hours, we're going to be walking inside those 3 main hospitals in the city of Gaza and it's going to be very interesting what's going to happen there.
Yeah, Amir, there's been stories floating around that Hassan Nasrallah is a dead man walking, and
Absolutely.
And there's some legitimacy to that, I believe. Is that correct?
Yes, not only him. Every person that belongs to Hamas, Islamic Jihad, or Hezbollah is a dead man walking. The Mossad received an order to do to these people what we did to the perpetrators of the October of 1972 Munich massacre of our team, Olympic team.
Mm-hmm.
And just so you know, we just uncovered yesterday a Hezbollah plot funded by Iran to attack Jewish targets and Israeli targets in Sao Paulo, in Brazil. I mean, Hezbollah was the contractor, and Iran was the person that funded it. And we alerted the Brazilians. We gave them the address, the names, everything, and they caught them right before they did it. A huge terror attack was aborted and thwarted because of the Mossad tipping the Brazilians. And that's Hezbollah. That's not Hamas. See, Hezbollah is as bad. Now, let me also make it clear. If Gaza is the largest terrorist installation on planet Earth because of what Hamas did in the last 20 years, Hezbollah is the most powerful terrorist organization on planet Earth. So we're dealing with two monsters here. The most powerful terrorist organization on planet Earth and the most largest terror base on planet Earth. And that's what we have to clear, because we won't be able to live like that any longer.
You know, it's interesting in these places, including Iran, you know, you've got regimes in charge that are basically oppressing the people. And, you know, we've all heard the statements about Gaza being nothing more than a large prison where the people are kept captive. You know, the Lebanese people are not huge Hezbollah fans either, for the most part. And their economy is just all but destroyed. And, you know, of course, you've got the Iranians as well, where most of the people would like to see the exit of that regime. And yet here you've got these ideological concentrated groups, you know, where their whole focus is just ridding the world of the Jews. And, you know, I think the one of the interesting things about what you were just sharing is that Israel is displaying its moral standard and compass by protecting and giving notification. And, you know, there weren't any flyers dropped in southern Israel saying Hamas is coming through the fence, you know, at X time of the day and all that stuff. And, you know, it's just bizarre to see and reminds us of how spiritual this battle actually is and who's really behind and the driving force, which is Satan himself.
Absolutely. It's demonic in nature, diabolic, and it's part of, you know, the effort of the enemy to you know, kill the witness and destroy the evidences. Israel is God's witnesses. The churches go and be my witnesses as well. And the enemy will always hate those two, because let's kill the witness and destroy the evidence. And because it's all about kill, steal, and destroy. It's all about, he's the father of lies. It's all about deception and killing, and destroying. We see it all over, everywhere that fanatic religion is displayed. You see nothing but death. Nothing. I don't understand. And the funny thing is, a lot of people fled those countries to find refuge in Western countries, such in Europe or America.
Right.
But then they were obsessed with or they were possessed, with that spirit, and now they want to turn those countries into that which they fled from.
Which they fled, yeah.
Yep.
Makes no sense.
Look, I mean, I'm watching videos from Germany. They're saying we are working hard to make the Sharia law the laws in Germany. They say the same thing in the UK. They say the same thing in Belgium and in the Netherlands and in France. And they don't even hide it anymore. So the Western countries and the governments stuck their head in the sand, didn't want to believe that this is dangerous. And what happened October 7th opened the eyes of every Western country to understand that it can happen in their territory as well. This is a religion of death. These are people that sanctify death, and they're being worshipped and they're followed and admired by people. It's beyond me. It's beyond me to see so many very educated people, such doctors and nurses and some media people, that were so happy that children were beheaded, families were burned alive, women were raped. They were happy. To me, how can a woman be happy in the rape and the killing and the chopping of organs, of parts of bodies while they were alive? It's beyond me. All of that, how can any woman on planet Earth cheer for that? I don't understand.
Yeah, Amir, one of the curious things to me, and when you and I travel and we talk to people around the world, we always hear the same thing. We can't find a Bible teaching church, and nobody's teaching Bible prophecy. And one of the interesting things that I think about all this and what you just mentioned is that the Quran actually says it's the people of Moses who have a right to the Holy Land. And, it's like they don't even know their own book. All they know is hatred. And that tells us again, as you pointed out a moment ago, who's behind all this and who they're actually following. And, watching all this unfold and seeing so many familiar names within the prophetic scenario rising up now, and what's happening with Damascus, the multiple rockets and missiles fired towards the runway there in Damascus and Aleppo as well. We've got the destruction of Damascus laying out there somewhere, potentially now with this much more aggressive season of battle and warfare going on in Israel and other countries surrounding you. We could very well be moving toward a scenario that we've talked about many times, that the possible chronology is the destruction of Damascus, which then ignites the Ezekiel war scenario. And I believe that somewhere in there is the rapture of the church. So we're getting close.
Yes, and that's our blessed hope. This is our hope. My hope is not in any victory of military or government, I know that I cannot expect the love and support of the world. I understand that. I mean, it's hard to see how they believe the lie. It's hard to see how they buy the lie, and it's hard to see how they're deceived. But at the same time, I know that it has to happen, and it is happening, and I cannot be surprised.
Yep. Well, my friend, I know you've got another program to do. So if you would close us with the Aaronic blessing, and then I'll close us in prayer. After that, that'd be wonderful.
All right. יברכך אדוני וישמרך. יאר אדוני פניו אליך ויחונך. יישא אדוני פניו אליך וישם לך שלום.
The Lord bless you and keep you, and make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. The Lord lift up his countenance toward you and give you peace. And Lord, we do, as you instructed us to do, pray for the peace of Jerusalem. And we pray for the nation of Israel. We thank you that we already see your hand of protection upon them, your hand of direction upon them as well, as your word says you would do. And Lord, I pray for Amir. I thank you that you've raised him up as a voice in these last days. And I pray that you would continue to open doors for him to speak the truth to his own people and to the world. We pray your protection on his household and all of Israel. But Lord, we ask now just specifically that you would let the truth be known and continue to use his voice of reason to reach the world. So we thank you, Lord, for Behold Israel. And we pray, God, that you would come quickly, Lord Jesus. And we ask these things in your most holy name. Amen. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
Good to see your face and hear your voice, and pray for you often. And just praying that God would continue to use you as a voice of reason, because there's not many out there right now. So blessings on you, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks for joining us. Well, that's it for today, and thank you all for watching, and appreciate um, all of you who've been logging on and been supportive of this program. And we are living in perilous times, and no question about that. And who knows what's happening for the United States? But if there's anything that I would remind you of, it's what Jesus said at the end of the teaching portion of the Olivet Discourse before he went into the parables, and that is, you also be ready, for the Son of Man is coming in an hour where he's not expected. So make sure you're ready, and you can only be ready by being born again. And let's make sure we're telling other people that as well. So that's it for this week. And please be praying for Amir and family, and Miriam and their 4 kids, and of course the rest of Israel and the peace of Jerusalem. And so, you know what comes next. We'll see you here, there, or in the air. God bless you.